I never need it to work, that I should quit my job. Left my job. I finally left. I was very lucky. Money motivates me, but it doesn't make me happy because I was scared. I was scared to leave my job. Like every time I run more, I feel worse. So I start running my 6 miles. How am I going to run 100 miles if I can't do 22? I'm running 22 miles with food poisoning. You can increase your quality of life. Welcome to the Willpower Podcast. And here we go. Second solo episode. This will be a fun one. I'm in Bali right now, in Ubud, Bali. And that is one of the main reasons I'm doing this. I had a good string of, I think, 5 guests in the past couple weeks, but being in Bali makes it difficult to record. Well, mostly to schedule. Recording's fine. As you can see, I'm recording here. I have Wi-Fi here. No problem there. But the idea of trying to schedule around basically 13-hour difference is intimidating. And I just didn't even want to bother with that. So, solo episode. I got plenty to talk about today. Not too worried. The first thing that I wanted to definitely hit on is something that I mentioned briefly in the episode with Joe Beeling. And that was the fact that I left my job. I finally left. This was, just to give all the background, it was a long time in the making. I think about when we had our first round of layoffs, and I worked at Indeed. We had a round of layoffs in 2022, I believe. No, probably 2023, because I started in 2022. And so we had our first round of layoffs, and part of me was almost excited with the prospect of getting, a severance package and getting to leave. I kind of knew at that point this wasn't for me. And then I didn't get laid off. And so then it was like, okay, I don't want to just quit then and get nothing. And at that point, I'd worked ever since college, which hasn't been that long. It's been 4 years, but I'd never been without a job since college. And there was still a part of me that was a little scared of like going back to being broke. And it's been very nice to work in tech and not have to worry about this kind of things. So I stayed on about a year after that. Well, in between, we have another round of layoffs. And there's one point where I did mushrooms one day by myself, and I did it in such a way that I wasn't doing anything. I was basically just laying down and seeing what happened. And I really got the feeling that I should quit my job. I'm like, why am I still doing this? Why don't I just go in on something on my own? And the fact that I have this job is kind of tying me in and giving me this slow drip of money that is enough that I'm not actually pursuing anything else. And so I'll have all these side projects that I work on, but I never need it to work. And so because I don't need it to work, I'm willing to give up when things get difficult. So this mushroom trip, I realized okay, I want to quit my job. And then this year, 2025, at the beginning of the year, I set a date. I was like, in May, I'm going to quit. It was right before my birthday. I was like, this is perfect. And then a couple months go by and I'm budgeting more tightly and much more aware of that stuff. And then there's a moment where I'm just like, if I had a job, I wouldn't have to worry about this stuff. I wouldn't have to be careful with budgeting. And that just was okay. And so then I just kind of turned off that plan completely. And so out of fear, I didn't quit in May. So I'm still holding on to this hope that I'm going to quit, but I just haven't pulled the trigger. And then my new date I set is in August. I'm like, okay, in August, I'm going to quit. I mark it on my calendar. And this time I don't tell that many people. The May one, I told a lot of people. And then we would kind of talk later. I'm like, oh yeah, I changed my mind on that. So this one, I didn't tell anybody. I just have it set on my calendar. And about 2 months out, I'm considering maybe I should just send in a resignation letter, send it to my boss, just get that in writing out of the way. Why not? It just, the only thing that does is it locks me in. Okay, now I'm actually going to have to quit. I can't back out again. And the only reason I didn't do that is because I had an RSU package, stocks that were going to be vesting in August. And I did not think that Indeed would do this, but I was a little nervous that they would just terminate me before I was able to receive those, which would have also been okay. I would have been okay without getting that extra money through stocks. So I end up deciding, okay, there's no reason to rush this. I'll just wait. Then I'll get my 2 weeks notice and then I'll leave in August. and I'll get my stocks because I'll wait until August to tell them. Then, while I'm doing my Vipassana retreat, which I talked about last solo episode 60, I come back, I open up my computer, and there's some weird messages in our Slack channels. There have been layoffs. So another round while I was gone, and we hadn't had layoffs in a while. So there I'm like, okay, I saw an email that I did not get impacted, not laid off. So I still have my job, and I'm kind of bummed out. I'm like, that would have been nice. This would have been really good timing. And then I'm like maybe an hour into my workday, and I remember that the first round of layoffs, they had a voluntary severance option, basically because they're trying to save money. So they're like, if you don't want to work here, we will pay you severance to just leave. Like, you don't have to get laid off. You leave on your own. And the second round of layoffs, they had not done that. And that was because that round was based around a reorg. And their claim was it had nothing to do with money. It had more to do with who do we actually need here. And so once you had a spot, they weren't willing to give you money to leave. So I wasn't sure what we were going to have this time. So I search on Huddle, and sure enough, there's a voluntary severance option. And it requires a decision within the week. So it was like Friday of that week. So I'm in the hot seat. It's like decision time. This was mid-July, and this was really beautiful because, again, like this decision I've been putting off and wanting to make, but not able to fully do it yet. Like, I still hadn't. I was still planning. I'm going to do it in August, but there's still a chance that something happened and I went back on that. And now it was like 1 week. What do you want to do? You can get all this extra money if you want. Severance package if you leave within this week, or are you going to stay? Are you going to keep doing what you've been doing? And if I stay, then it's going to take a lot for me to leave because I know I passed up on this 2 months of extra pay just to leave. It's going to be hard to quit for nothing after that. It was very clear to me. This is it. This is where I part ways with Indeed. And that was that. I told my manager. And from there, it was very simple. It was just, okay, when's your end date? We worked together. We picked one. And I had 2.5, 3 weeks before I was done. My last day was earlier this month, 1st of August. So I did end up leaving in August like planned. And I just happened to get this beautiful gift of 8 weeks of additional pay. Now, I was very lucky. I was very lucky for many reasons. One reason was if I had submitted the resignation letter, they would not have given me severance. That would not have been an option. That was explicitly stated on Huddle. You give your resignation letter already, you are not an option for this severance package, voluntary severance. So that was incredible that, by that luck of not wanting to lose my RCUs, I had not submitted a letter. And just the fact that this happened was very lucky for me. I know it was obviously not lucky for a lot of people. A lot of people got laid off and they depended on their jobs more than I did. They weren't looking to get out. So this is not to make light of their situation, but for me, incredibly lucky. So I'm very grateful that was what happened. And that really the biggest thing doesn't have to do with the money. It's not that I'm not happy that I got the money. It's more that the money was in the right direction. It's like one of these things that money motivates me, but it doesn't make me happy. So I know that the fact that I got this severance package isn't going to make any long-lasting impact on my overall well-being or happiness, but it was put in place in such a way that it actually will. And what I mean by that is this money got me to leave my job. And that, I believe, is going to lead to much more well-being, much more happiness. Much of the time, for most people, for me in the past, it works the exact opposite. So we work for money because we think money will make us happy. But then in this search, in this pursuit of money, we end up doing things that don't lead to actual happiness. And so we think the money will do it for us. The money doesn't do it. And then we've also just been wasting away our lives and our time on these things that don't make us happy. And so then neither thing actually is helping us. And so in this case, the money was still my guiding, it still was what made me make that decision. But it was aligned with what I actually wanted to be doing. And again, this was, just luck. I didn't do anything to make this happen. And it made me wonder, why couldn't I make that decision? Why couldn't I do it, earlier? Why did I need money to make a decision for my own well-being? And that's because I'm human, because I was scared. I was scared to leave my job. And now I'm in that place where, I don't know where my next money is going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I'm still very confident that I will. I'll figure it out. And there is the truth that I need to now. And I have a few options. I can go find another job, or I can work on this app that I'm building, which I can talk about. But the one option I don't have is just to let things go how they're going, just to sit still. And when I had a job, that was the option I would choose. I would just continue on doing what I'm doing. I can't do that at all anymore. Action is required at this point. There's no passivity allowed. So it's cool to be in this place. Like, life is calling me to action right now. There's no other option. Again, even if it is finding a new job, that is action. That requires me making a decisive action towards picking a company, working through the interview process, all that kind of stuff, even applying. So that's not my plan. My plan is not to apply to jobs, but that might end up happening. My plan is to get this app that I've built going. So I built this app, Qualia. Hopefully it is still under that name when this podcast is released. It's my plan. There are other Qualias, but I don't think it should be a problem. If you want to find the app itself, livequalia.app. And it is currently either in the early access phase or it is in the full release phase. And I only say either or because I'm recording this ahead of time. That's why I don't know where it will be. If it's in early access, simply go on there, submit your email. I should be able to get you access to the app. It is a mobile app, and there's also a web component. So the web works great on desktop. It works on mobile as well, but it's a much better experience on desktop. And then the mobile app itself is obviously available. It will be on App Store and Google Play at some point. That's what I don't know. I don't know when this comes out, whether it will be or not. It's not right now as I'm recording. So Qualia, let me talk about that. Qualia is an idea that I've had for a couple of years. And I got this idea, funny enough, from listening to a podcast with Rob Dyrdek. And when I heard this podcast, I had no idea who he was. So I found out a little bit more about him after this. But in this episode, he talks about his life system. And at this time, he was kind of blowing up for this life system that he was using. Basically, he would track everything he did. And he would find out, like, okay, how did these things actually make me happy? And his claim was like, oh, I'm so happy because I just do all the things that make me happy. Like, I've scientifically found out these things make me happy. That's what I do. And that's an intriguing thought, an intriguing idea of like, okay, find out the things that make you feel good and then do those things. Now, it's hard to do. It's hard to life, when we're living, we're such a combination of different behaviors and actions and things going on, plus who we are. And, things from the past weeks, months, years are all playing a factor. So there's so much going on. It's hard to know, it's hard to single out what the actual effects of individual actions are. But I could get behind that claim that if you can do that, you can increase your quality of life. You can change the way that you feel based on those things and doing those things. Figure out what makes you feel good. Do those things. And the other thing is, like, if you knew that doing this thing would actually make you feel good and you've seen it happen in the past and you've seen some kind of, like, scientifically you found that this thing makes you feel this way, why would you not do it? Why would you ever not do that thing? I've often had that thought too with, like, making decisions. Imagine you're making a decision. It's like, okay, do I want this cupcake or not? And you somehow knew, there was a pop-up in your frame of vision and it was like, if you eat this cupcake, you will have a worse life. If you don't eat it, you'll have a better life. Like, if you had that pop-up, how could you eat the cupcake? I don't think it would be you would never eat it because it's just so clear. It's like you will have a better life. You will feel better. You will be happier if you don't eat this. So it's the awareness that I think is the key component, because when we're in these emotional, impulsive states, there's just not awareness. Like our minds are kind of playing tricks on us and like, oh no, it'll be fine if I eat this cupcake. Nothing really bad will happen and I'll enjoy it. And I'm going to over-index on the enjoyment part because I want this now. And our emotional selves they over-index on the near future, of course. So they're going to do things that feel better now versus tomorrow or a week from now or a year from now. So getting more awareness, I think, around that stuff, what actually moves the needle in the future, would make those decisions much clearer and much easier. So I tried doing something similar myself. I've set up a Google spreadsheet that would keep track of daily subjective scores. how am I feeling today? And I wanted to also figure out like, okay, what do I eat that makes me feel good? And that's a much harder one to do because I eat so many different things and it's harder to track that. So anyways, what I ended up doing was setting up my Google Sheet, and then I set up a Google Calendar reminder. And in that calendar event, I put in the description some text, some JSON text, which for non-coders is just a format for storing objects, data objects. So in the JSON object was just the different subjective scores and then a few different, like, let's say behaviors or, other metrics to go with my life. So every day I would open up my calendar and fill out how I was feeling. And then these different things, my weight was in there, a couple other things. And then I had my spreadsheet designed to every day I would run a script that would go and pull out these data points and put them into the spreadsheet where they're supposed to be. And then I had like nice graphs that showed everything nicely and beautifully. And that was cool. And at that time, I kind of was thinking like, oh, this would be cool to have something for other people to use as well. And then I just never got around to it. Then I went through a bunch of side projects, a bunch of random stuff I was working on. I was like coaching and try to build a different app and then try to build a dog supplement. And then here I was kind of in a emptiness of projects where I was giving up on the last one and thinking about what's the next thing. And this idea resurfaced. And I realized that with the help of AI, so AI coding agents, I would be able to build something like this much more easily than I would have back then. This kind of project would be a significant lift for one person. Whereas right now it's pretty doable. With a month or two of effort, you can build an app. You can do that kind of thing. So I got to work on this app, and in this first iteration, it's going to be very simple. It's just behaviors and subjective scores. So yes or no, did you do the behavior? Did you not do the behavior? So let's say you pick out your list of habits that you want to follow, and every day you answer whether you did them or not. Every day you also answer how you're feeling that day. Over time, the app figures out the effects of your actions. And now I talked about this complication, which is that it's hard to single out what does what, right? And that's very true. And that's why this app requires significant data. It requires that the user uses the app a lot. I think for like really good insights, you probably want at least a month of regular logging, subjective scores, and actions. Now, within a week, you can probably get some decent insights and some good patterns that will pop out. But it's going to take time because every day you do stuff and then you have some subjective score. You have some way that you feel the next day, right? Now, who's to say what of those things actually made you feel this way? It's probably some combination of all of them. So to actually pick out what the thing is, like what you feel that day, you need a whole bunch of different examples of, okay, this day I did these things and not these things, and I felt this way. This day I did those things and not these things, and I felt this way. You need all these different examples in order for the model to actually pick out what is moving the needle, what is doing what, and what is doing what else, right? So it requires a lot of logging, a lot of actually putting down, what you did and how you feel. Many days. And again, within 7 days, you'll get some decent insights. But long term, in this current iteration, the goal is you understand what behaviors are actually making you feel the way you want to feel. That means you can let go of shit that does not help you. And it also means you can test out new things and you can find things that actually make the difference. So like Rob Dyrdek was saying, you just feel good all the time because you're just doing the things that make you feel good. There's no question. It's so scientific. You pick out exactly the thing and then you do them. Now the app itself, I see moving significantly and growing in scope. And I think there's so much that can come from this. One thing I'm thinking is along the food lines, like how do foods actually make us feel? That could be an awesome future feature for the app, is to incorporate some kind of food logging or use existing food logging data. That would be one. Other ones would be like longer term patterns, picking those out, like understanding how your moods change with seasons or with years, understanding how doing habits over longer stretches of time impact your subjective scores, your mood, your energy, your fulfillment. There's a lot of ways that this app could move, a lot of directions that this could go in. Could go beyond just like simple yes, no habits. Could get into much more detail, understanding like that, because, exercising. If your habit is exercise 30 minutes, well then 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 30 minutes, it's all the same to the app. App doesn't know any different. So allowing for more granular feedback, which is going to be challenging because the main reason that I opted for the yes, no answer is it makes logging much easier. And that's a big factor of this app is, like I said, we need a lot of data to understand a human, and having something that's hard to fill out or a bother to fill out is likely going to lead to less compliance, less like doing the thing. People will be less likely to follow through. So that just means that the easier it is, the better for right now. And I don't think it's worth adding in these more granular, like amount of exercise or weight, to fill in your weight every day. Like that sounds like a bother. So that's one component. On that front, I could see a feature where it incorporates, where it allows, Apple Health data or the Android equivalent, where it takes those, it integrates with that and makes it so that the user doesn't have to log those things. Doing that kind of stuff. There are a lot of apps that, you have a scale and then you weigh yourself and it comes up on the app. Integrating with something like that, integrating with other wearables. I know there are certain like health scores that can play a role, sleep trackers. These things could all be huge in an app like this, in both making the app easier to use, making logging easier, and then additionally making the data better, making the better the data, the better the patterns, the more realistic that the patterns found are. So I think there's beautiful insights that can be found the way it's set up right now, but they are limited to yes, no answers and subjective scores. And they're limited by the fact that the user must follow through. That's the app. Again, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to help people understand themselves better, understand what makes them feel better, what habits they enjoy, and do those more. I think seeing that direct correlation, when I do this, I feel this much better, is going to lead to much more doing the things that we want to be doing. Similar to that, like, oh, should I eat a cupcake or not? And then you get the pop-up. If you eat this cupcake, you will have a worse life. It's like, okay, damn, I probably won't eat this cupcake then. And you have a better life. So that's that. I had one interesting story. Being in Bali last weekend, I went for a 22-mile run, part of a training plan I'm doing. And on this run, I went fairly early. It was maybe 7:30. I had to scooter to a beach that had a long running trail because in the place I was staying in Bali, in Canggu, there's almost there's no places to run. It's a very busy city. It's like the roads are not very wide. There's very few sidewalks, and there are like shit ton of scooters going at all hours. So I had run around there a little bit, but it required like hyper vigilance, and it was hard to like settle into a run when I'm constantly having to be aware of not getting hit by a scooter or a car. So I go to this beach, and this beach has like a 7-kilometer running /walking trail. And I figure I'll just, run up and down this however many times it takes to get to 22, and that'll be good. So I get there, I park my scooter in one of the parking areas, and I get a coffee from this guy with the cart at the parking. And then I go sit down at this place and I get get like a smoothie bowl and a brownie with ice cream. Cause I'm like, I need some sugar. I'm about to run 22 miles. It's like a very long distance. I need to like get myself ready for this. So I get my sugar and then I start going, and it starts out pretty well. 3 miles in, and then I get to, 9 miles. So I run down the path and back, and I'm at 9 miles. And then I run down again. I get to 12. So I'm over halfway, and I'm feeling a little weird. My stomach's not feeling good. And I chalk this up to drinking a lot of water quickly, because for the first 5 miles, I didn't drink any water, and the sun's coming out. The sun comes out early here. So it's 9, 10 a.m., but the sun is full force. And so I didn't drink for 5 miles, and then I bought a water and kind of chugged it. Later, I got a Coke and I drank that pretty fast, and my stomach just is not feeling great. So at mile 12, I sit down at this place, and I'm like, wow, okay, I need to settle down for a sec, because I don't feel good. So I sit there, I drink another water, but I just like settle. I just sit down and I'm like, I'm going to just let my stomach relax. And I figure I'll do my meditation. I've been doing, ever since the Vipassana retreat, I've been doing an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, every day. So I hadn't done it yet. I figure I'll do it now. And that'll be a good chance for my body to kind of regulate itself. This really felt like something was off. So I sit there for an hour. I'm still up 12 miles. And I come back and I'm like, okay, I feel a lot better, much better. Now, my plan going forward is like, I'm going to drink more water slowly. Like every mile, I'm going to drink some water rather than waiting and then chugging. So I'm doing this. I get another 3 miles in, and at mile 15, I'm back to like, I don't feel good again. This is rough. Like every time I run more, I feel worse, which kind of makes sense, but it's like much worse. It's like my stomach is like super uncomfortable and uneasy. So I sit down again. I get an orange juice. I figure that might help somehow. I don't know. I get a water as well. So I sit for like 15 minutes and then I'm like, I only have 7? I think I was at 16 at this point. Not 15, 16. So I'm like, I have 6 miles to go. I can do 6 miles. However I have to do it, I'll do it. So I start running my 6 miles. So I go 3 miles down the path and then 3 miles back. And it's a lot of like walk running. It's like I walk like 1/4 mile, then I run 3/4. And then it gets to the point where I'm walking half and running half. I'm trying to just keep hiking it out. Just hike, hike, hike. This whole time I'm like putting sunscreen on like every 2 minutes. I'm super sweaty, so it's just not staying on. And yeah, then I get to the end, finally hit 22. Took me like 5 hours. Took forever. 5.5 hours with the meditation. And I just feel like garbage. It feels so bad. And I'm like feeling bad too that it was this difficult, because I've been training up to it and it hasn't been that hard. And I'm thinking about race day. I'm like, how am I going to be able to do this 100-mile race if I can't run 22 miles? So it wasn't just that it sucked. It was also like, what does this mean for my training? This is not good if this is how difficult it's going to be. So I get to my scooter and I'm about 40 minutes from where I'm staying. I got to make it back. And as I'm riding out of the parking area, it's like a gravelly lot with a bunch of divots and stuff. I'm like bumping over divots and hitting holes and stuff. And I'm like, my stomach feels really bad. This does not feel good at all. And I start riding out. It's like super busy. So many scooters and cars. And I'm just feeling worse and worse. And now it's like full on nausea. It's not just like discomfort. It's like, I feel fucking nauseous. Now, I haven't thrown up in like a very long time. It's been since I was young, like since I was in 6th grade was the last time I threw up. And so I have this like subconscious fear just because of not having done it, of vomiting. And there becomes a point where the nausea is so bad, I have to pull over on my scooter and I just find like a brick wall. I just put my scooter down. It's in some driveway of someone's house. And I just lay down and I was breathing and the nausea is just growing and growing. And I realized like, this is time. This is the time that I'm going to throw up. It's evaded me for however long, but it's time. So I turn over, I'm laying on my back, I turn over and I just like dry heave. Like it's like I'm throwing up, but then I realize like there's nothing in my stomach because I had eaten before the run, but that was almost 6 hours ago at this point. Everything's gone. Everything's gone from my stomach. Well, the liquids I've been drinking, like my body is definitely very dehydrated. So anything I drink is just sucked out immediately. So that's interesting. My stomach is completely empty. So I dry heave, nothing comes out. At this point, I lay back down on this random wall and I realize after like 20 minutes that I'm not going to be able to scooter home. Like I literally feel so sick, so nauseous. So I start kind of planning. I'm 40 minutes away on scooter and I really want to get back. I'm like, I need to just like lay in bed because I feel so shitty. So I park my bike nearby at a bank. I figure a bank is a safe bet. And in Bali, it's pretty safe to leave your scooter places. I park it there and I get a Grab, which is an Uber here, their version of Uber. I get a Grab car. They take me back. It takes forever. And when I'm like 10 minutes from getting back, I start to feel the nausea coming back. And it's like it's really coming back. And I'm like, gosh, this is not good. And there's an interesting thing about nausea, which anytime I have it, very bad. This happened when I did peyote. I was so nauseous that like it cuts through everything. Like nothing else matters when you're super nauseous. It has that crazy power over us that it just can take your full attention. And again, like nothing else matters when you're super nauseous. But there's also some beauty in it. And there was something that was said during the Vipassana that Goenka says during the Dhamma talks. And he's talking about when you're sitting for an hour and you're not moving, and that's, you're sitting with your legs crossed and you're not allowed to move. And he's saying like you're in this pain and you're like just absorbed by the pain. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I want this to stop. When's the bell going to ring? When am I going to be done? And then there's a moment where you are able to just notice the pain and be equanimous to it, to just allow it to be. And he said those moments are beautiful. That makes it all worth it, to cherish those moments. So I'm nauseous. I'm thinking about how much I want to be in bed, how much I don't want to be in this car, how much I don't want to be nauseous. And then there's just a moment of like, okay, this is where I'm at. That's okay. Just full acceptance, full equanimity. It was only for a moment, but there's something really, really beautiful about that. Anyways, the nausea got really bad. I felt like I could tell I had to throw up again. And so I opened the door, just dry heave again, nothing comes out. And there's people on scooters like behind us. And I could tell they like back off. It's very confusing. The driver has no idea what's going on. He didn't speak good English, so I wasn't able to tell him that like I'm pretty sick. Something could happen here. So he just sees me heaving. This time it's like 3 in a row, 3 dry heaves. And I could feel my stomach like tightening. It's like super painful. It's like just like squeezing with nothing in it. Then after those 3, I like started to feel a lot better. I made it back. And then there I was. And I got better. It took me, the rest of that day. And then early the next morning, I didn't feel great. But by the end of the next day, I was close to normal. So that was a very challenging experience. And I think I narrowed it down to the coffee that I had that morning. I had gotten from a cart, and I don't know where the water came from. And if you drink the water in Bali, it's definitely not good, not safe for my American stomach. That's not used to that. So I'm pretty sure it was something like that. It was very reassuring because of the doubts that I mentioned earlier around how am I going to race if I can't run 22 miles? How am I going to run 20? How am I going to run 100 miles if I can't do 22? 22 is this challenging. Shit, I'm in bad shape. So that was reassuring. I was like, okay, no, I was fucking sick. I had some kind of food poisoning. And that's why. So then it was also kind of funny that I ran 22 miles. Part of it being having this stomach bug, which is also insane to think about doing that. So that all ended up working out. I was just sick for a day, a little more than a day, and then took a few days to kind of get back to 100%. And then I was back. And there's some quote about how you only are truly grateful for your health once you've experienced bad health. And that's very true. Very true here. Like the beginning of my trip, I didn't even consider the fact that like, oh, I feel good. This is nice. It wasn't until I felt like shit that I can't do anything. I'm wishing that I felt normal, wishing I could have a cool trip without having this thing limiting me. So it's overall a good experience to have, a good recognition of the beauty of good health. So that was my Bali run. Fitting runs in has been interesting. So while traveling, I've been able to maintain my running schedule, which is runs every day. And then, like I said, meditating 2 hours a day. And it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's like some days it's like a 3-hour run and 2 hours of meditation. So it's like, okay, where do I fit everything else in? And that is an interesting and a fun little challenge for me to work through. It's like every day is like a puzzle and I got to fit these things in. And I'm here with a friend. And so it's like, we want to do stuff, but I have to fit my things in. And it's a nice, it's a pain in the ass. It sucks. Like many days I'm like, God damn it, I got to go home and meditate. But I don't think I would trade it. It's the kind of structure that I'm happy to have. And it keeps me on my edge, keeps me moving forward. And I 100% think it's worthwhile. So that's my 2 cents on this, like having structure while traveling and not just fully letting go and being, doing whatever the hell I want. So that's going to be our solo episode on leaving my job and getting food poisoning, running 22 miles with food poisoning. Peace.